with Messy on Purpose.
Messy on purpose.
And today we want to talk about how going into 2025, we want to redefine the relationships that are good for us and the relationships that are bad for us, and why it's okay to eliminate relationships or distance yourself if there are some that you cannot eliminate. And really look out for yourself. Because when it comes down to it, you can't be there for other people unless you're there for yourself.
Yeah, and what better time to kind of do an inventory on the people that you're giving your time and energy to than the new year. Start the new year off right.
So I'll let you start. I know you're trying to develop and figure out where you sit with yourself and the people around you.
So I think for me, it's been a process of after, going through a divorce, and that changes a lot of the aspects of your life. People that you were connected to through that marriage, his family, friends that you had mutually. It kind of shifts your relationships. And I think that initially after the divorce, something that I felt very strongly about was a lot of internal work and self-work on trying to improve myself. And I really did put the focus on myself and my family. And then you kind of start to sway off a little bit and take some different roads and some different paths, and you're giving more of your time and attention to other people. And it's hard once you're in those relationships, whether it's friendship, romantic, whatever, to kind of get the perspective of, is this healthy and is this good for me, or does it feel good right now? So that is what I'm taking in right now and trying to think about, is like, people in my life, is this serving a purpose, or is this doing more harm for me in the long run?
It's the best way to walk into like a new year, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have new goals, you're trying to build, different things like your business, your relationships with your kids, the relationships around you, but you also have these hurdles that we have to get over, right? These roadblocks. And when you have roadblocks, which one for me was honestly moving away from home, nothing against anyone there, it's just you stay in this like mindset of, change isn't necessarily good, and when you do change things, you get a lot of backlash. Like when I stopped drinking alcohol and I worked in a bar, and people are like, "Oh, you'll never make it," and it's now it's years later. I haven't even thought about it. And so you have those things that you have to like almost jump over in order to grow. And sometimes you have these anchors, which are people in your life, that if you don't get rid of them or don't push them to the side or distance yourself from them, they're going to affect everything you do, and they're going to hold you back. So going into this year, one of my biggest goals is literally eliminating people that just don't belong in my life. Which it sounds harsh, and it's not that I have anything against anybody, but it's just some people are right for you and some people are wrong. And if I have goals and you're going to stand in the way, I'm going to push you to the side, because I'm not dealing with it anymore. And I've had plenty of friends if they're kind of giving you negativity when you have a goal that maybe doesn't look achievable to them but looks achievable to you. That's not somebody you want there, right? Or if you have romantic relationships and they're making you feel like crap. You're not supposed to feel like crap when you're in a relationship. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter. It's out there. There's a person out there that will make you feel good. Like, I'm obviously I'm married. And I can tell you right now, like, he might tell me things that I don't want to hear sometimes, but it's for the good. He's never putting me down. He's never making me feel like crap. He's never putting things in front of me, in front of him, like ahead of me. Like everything he does is in thoughts of me, and vice versa. And you shouldn't deal with that in a relationship either, and it shouldn't degrade you. You should feel good. You should feel happy. I mean, love is supposed to be a beautiful thing, right? It's a good thing. And when you're not experiencing that, and you as a female, make a connection with somebody, because that is so hard. You make that connection, you're attached to it.
Yeah.
That's just what we are, right? I mean,
we're emotional creatures, so.
Yeah. So it's hard to let go of something that you've made a connection to, because you're not making a connection to every guy that walks by or every guy that you talk to. I just bumped that, so the sound might have been weird. But like, you're not making a connection with 10 dudes. You're making a connection with one. Yeah. It's very, very, very rare that women make connections with multiple men, which is the opposite with men, because they don't always make that connection to have a relationship.
Yeah, I think there's an easier detachment for males, and I could be wrong. That's just my perspective. But what you're saying is exactly what I meant by taking inventory. Is I think there comes a time where you have to take a cold, hard look at relationships in your life and figure out, is this something that's bringing me joy, peace, happiness? Is it pushing me to be better? Is it pushing me towards my goals? Or is this something that's bringing me down, making me feel bad about myself, making me want to give up on my dreams and goals? Because whatever kind of relationship it is, if it's family, if it's friends, if it's romantic, if somebody is not supportive and they're not bringing more peace and happiness to your life, then they're bringing, conflict and, no, don't do that, that's stupid, whatever. That's somebody that you don't need to have in your life, at least on a consistent basis. Obviously, there's people in our lives that we can't cut out completely for whatever reason, but you can limit your interactions with them and how much energy and time you're giving to them, because honestly, our time is the most precious commodity that we have. Time is something that we can't get back. Time is something that when you give it to somebody, especially freely, if you're not getting it back in return, what are you doing?
Oh man, that drives me nuts. I will tell you, I give time to a lot of people for free. Yeah. And the worst thing you can do is like not appreciate it, and not do the things that you were supposed to do to make that 50-50 like relationship. I have spent hours building training programs, sending diet plans, meal plans, everything, right? Yeah. For free. And then they don't even do a workout or look at it. Yeah. And it's you really value me that little.
That's something that they didn't invest their time into. You invested your time into it.
But they say they want it, and they tell you all this stuff, and it gets you excited. Like, I love helping people. That's just part of my personality. Drives my husband nuts.
He's like, stop.
Not that he doesn't like helping people, but like, I go a little extreme, right? Like, I just want people to be better, and I always want the best for people.
And he probably doesn't want to see you being taken advantage of.
He's seen that a lot. And I'm at a point where I'm done. I'm done. I'm sorry. If you want my help, you have to prove you deserve it.
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that, unfortunately, for people that are givers, and I would say I'm a giver, I would say you're a giver, we give so freely to other people, and then there comes a point in time where it's like, I keep giving and giving and giving, and I'm not getting it in return, and that does kind of, unfortunately, make you put that little wall up where it's like, I'm only going to give to people that deserve for me to give to them. But then you get the whole like negative part of that is essentially people are having to prove themselves to you to be a part of your life, and that's because of the actions of other people that came before them that took advantage of you.
But at the same time, you have to set the standards for yourself, right? I mean, it's not even just me. I should have to prove to other people that I'm worthy to be in their lives if they're at a level above me, right? I mean, we have to have standards or we get walked all over, especially as a giver. And it's really hard to like set that boundary, but after you've been pushed so far, it gets easy. It gets easy. Like, going into 2025, I told you like that is my main goal, is to get away from the people that I don't want to be surrounded by, and they hold me back and aren't doing the things that they say they're going to do. And you have to value yourself enough to be able to make that choice, because it's not an easy choice, especially as somebody who cares for others. Like, you don't want to detach yourself because you feel bad, right? Oh, I feel bad. They don't even care. That's the conclusion I came to. They don't even care.
There are relationships that I think that there probably is care behind it, but I think in the long run you have to care about yourself more than you're caring about other people. And for me, it is very hard to detach myself from somebody that I care about. I used to be like the cutoff queen, where I could just like,
I've never
if you
been
weren't
that until
my
now.
vibe, like if I went on a couple dates with you or whatever and I'm not feeling it, cut off. Like, I would cut people off so quickly. And then I got more into a point in my life where I became more compassionate and empathetic and sympathetic to other people. And now it's hard for me because I'm always thinking about things from other people's perspective. Like, is this going to hurt them? Is this going to bother them? And I will put up with stuff that I shouldn't put up with because I'm thinking about the other person's feelings first. But if they're not thinking about mine, what am I doing? Like, and this is the hard part of it for me, is I don't want to lose my empathy, sympathy, compassion, love that I feel towards other people. But when you get taken advantage of and you're using those things and people aren't appreciating them, then that makes you want to like shut those parts of yourself down a little bit.
But
And
that's also where you don't have to get rid of them, right? You can distance yourself enough to care about yourself more. And you don't have to do things for people that don't deserve you to do them, but you can still have them in your life. It doesn't mean you're cutting them out. It doesn't mean you care about them any less. Sometimes not doing things for people is caring about them. Because some people need to grow up and take care of themselves and not rely on other people. Like there is a lot of, I guess, a lot of people that rely on other people instead of taking responsibility and doing things for themselves. And that does wear on people when you are that person that, like, all these people are relying on you and not really putting in the effort to do things themselves. And that too plays a part. You can distance yourself. I mean, family's a great example. You can't choose your family. But you can choose how close you are to them if they're affecting you in a negative way.
And I think for me personally, I'm so used to being the caretaker. That's been my role, as being a mom and then having a business and stuff. I'm so used to taking care of other people's needs.
She takes care of
mine. Making sure other people are good and other people are okay, that a lot of times I'll put myself behind that. And that is the challenge that I'm facing for 2025 and that I'm really trying to work on, is kind of, we talked about this about self-care, is like prioritizing my needs and my happiness instead of always worrying about everybody else's. Now, I think I can still be very aware of other people's needs and if they're happy and how they're feeling, while also making sure that my needs are being met. And that's the challenge that I'm facing.
And it's a huge one for you, especially because you have children, right? So your children are always going to come first, but you also have to put yourself up there too. And that can be a hard thing to do for a mother, being like the nurturer and wanting to take care and putting everybody before you. You have to put yourself first because you can't pour from an empty cup. I think you said that in the self-care one. Like you literally cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, and that being said, the fact that I have a life where I have children that I'm raising, and a business that I'm taking care of, if I give my time to somebody, that is a big deal for me because I don't have a lot of free time. Like, my time is very limited on what I can use it for. So if I'm giving my time to somebody, whether it is in friendship, romantically, whatever, that is a big deal for me. And if I feel like it's not recognized or appreciated or reciprocated, man, it may be the hardest thing in the world to walk away from somebody that you care about in whatever type of relationship, but I also have to love me.
And I mean, a lot of that goes in. You're single. Dating is not easy. as you get older, we talked about this in another episode about
Yeah.
dating, you've been through 2 divorces, and then to like give yourself to somebody else and then not get that proper love back. That's got to be hard. I got to stop doing this.
Taking it out on the microphone, all the aggression.
People make me mad.
It is. That's a difficult play. I think because I have gotten older and I have been through relationships, I probably have a different set of standards of what I think works for me. I'm not as willing to settle for things probably as I was when I was younger, or overlook things. I would rather say overlook than settle. I'm a little more, I don't want to expose myself and be vulnerable to every single person, like, so when you do have a connection with somebody, like I said, in whatever kind of way, because it happens in friendships too, it happens with family, is like, you do open yourself up and become vulnerable, and then for whatever reason that relationship isn't working, it's very hard to walk away from it. It's very hard to like, this is not serving me, and sometimes it's not serving the other person, and you're like, it's one of the greatest acts of love, I think, is to know that somebody else is better off with a different relationship, or that you're better off with a different relationship, because it's not easy.
No, because you have to. A lot of times, those relationships have went on for years. Right? You've developed this relationship with somebody. It's taken time. You know them inside and out, and then now you're cutting ties with something that feels like home,
something that you're familiar with and comfortable with. And just like with the divorce, that's somebody that you've given years of your life to. You know them in a very familiar way that you don't know other people. You know what makes them tick. You know how they sleep. You know how they eat. Like, and then you go to this relationship where you have to be a little more surface, and you're talking about your children and stuff. So it's like, I think that's the one thing I've learned in life, is that everything is fluid. It's constantly changing. Like, nothing's ever going to stay the same. So I try to appreciate the good moments for the good moments, and understand that the bad moments are going to pass. But yeah, it's hard to kind of put that importance on yourself. And
change is also hard. People struggle with change. When things aren't the same, it's hard. It's different. You have to maneuver a different way. Whether that's in work, at home, with your friends, maybe some hobby you have. Like, things change. I mean, LA's on fire right now. Lots changing right now. The government's changing, and I don't even know, 5 days, right? No,
January
it's 12.
20th.
It's the 12th. Why did I think it was the 15th? But anyways,
we're close enough.
Whatever, less than 10 days. Like, all of that's changing, and people aren't good with change. I mean, some people are embracing it if it's good in the way that they want it to be good. There's people that embrace things or don't embrace it because it's not the thing that they want, and they're scared, and they don't know what things are going to turn out, and they don't know what's going to happen, and they have all of these fears. And that goes with leaving a relationship too, right? This is all familiar. You've been with somebody, you've slept next to them for years, and now all of a sudden they're not there. They're not your conversation at night before you go to bed. They're not there in the morning brushing their teeth with you. Like, those are scary things to detach from.
Yeah.
Same with friendships, or even just like moving away. You have that fear a little bit, right? Because you're leaving all these familiar people, and you know nobody where you're going. And making friends is not always easy, which we've talked about many times.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived in Colorado for, I think, almost 4 years, and I can tell you, I don't really have like genuine friends from there. Well, I lied. We do, but like, technically, they're Justin's friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just there. But like, I didn't have anyone I was close to. I didn't have anybody that I hung out with. And you leave all of that behind. Not necessarily those people that are good for you, but I left behind people that I was familiar with.
Yeah.
And that was hard. And you go back, and like, honestly, I haven't seen anybody that I haven't seen one person, not one person. I tried the first like few years of hanging out with people that I used to hang out with,
Yeah.
and that you don't like, they just don't make time for you when you come in town or whatever it may be, and or it doesn't work or whatever. I think there's like two people from the bar that like, like that was like it, and the entire time that I've been gone, and that's nobody that I went to high school with. That's nobody that I was like super close friends with. None of that, and um, it's that's your fear, right? That you have no one.
Yeah.
Because naturally,
we don't want to be alone.
We don't.
Yeah.
It nobody wants to be alone. Lonely. Gosh.
Yeah.
I told you I can't talk today.
Some water, girl.
I'm gonna have to go get it after.
Yeah, I think that that is the thing that holds a lot of people in relationships that aren't quote unquote happy, is the fear of the unknown. It's easier to be comfortable and maybe not be, excited every single day, but at least you know what you're getting, as opposed to taking a giant leap and you're leaving a marriage, a boyfriend, girlfriend, friendship, family, whatever, going into the unknown. Like, is there something better for me out there, or was this better for me? There's a lot of questions that come into play, and I think what you said, the biggest fear is like being lonely and being alone. So that's, I feel like, where the focus needs to lie, is how do you get to the point where you're so in love with yourself and so content with yourself that anybody else coming into your life is just the icing on the cake. It's not the cake. You're the cake. You're the one that you're born with. You're the one that you die with. You're the one that goes through every single day of your life with. So the other people should just be adding value to that, not they become your whole life.
I think a lot of that's building confidence in yourself, because once you're confident in yourself, you're happy with yourself. Yeah. You're motivated, and you're making things happen, and you've accomplished things, and now you just feel good inside, outside. That goes on how you look, which is how you take care of yourself, right? That goes with your goals towards business and the things that you accomplish, or even your goals in just family in general, like the relationships that you have with your kids, and what you do to like grow that relationship and build that relationship and see your kids grow. I mean, that's probably a goal for you, right? To see all of your kids succeed.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, and form. Not just in business, not with money, like with their relationships, with what they do, how happy they are, the people that they find, the relationships they build, the families they build. And, there's so much into that. And if you look at it from the right lens and you see how much you have done and how good you feel about yourself, that brings that self-love.
It does, and it makes you raise your bar and your standards on who you accept into your life at that point. Yes. One of the things that you just said that I want to touch on really quickly is that has been a catalyst of change for me in this part of my life, especially with romantic relationships, is I have a daughter that is seeing what I'm accepting of and how I'm treated and stuff as her, like what she looks at for her future and how she's going to be treated and the things she puts up with. And I also have sons that I want them to be good men and be romantic and sweet and loving and all those things. And so I feel like it's an obligation and a duty of mine to be modeling that to them, so that that's their normal. They're not going against everything that they saw growing up to be good men or to, be romantic or do sweet things. They're used to that because that's what they've seen.
That's the standards that are set for them to grow into.
And so even if that's just me being on my own and doing things for my daughter and doing things for my son, at least in that perspective, that's what they're seeing. That's what they're seeing modeled, as opposed to seeing me in a relationship where those things aren't happening. And then they start to think that's what's normal. So.
Well, and your kid, your boys especially, not your youngest, but the other ones, they're old enough. They see it. And so if you are in a not so good for you relationship, I don't know if I quite worded that right.
Yeah.
But if the relationship's not good for you, they're going to see that, and then they're going to like see that their mom doesn't respect them yourself enough to do better. And they've grown. I've met your boys. I've met them all but the oldest so far, and they're all very, very sweet. They're the most respectful. They didn't even have to know me. They gave me a big hug. Like, they're so
We're
sweet.
huggers.
And like, they came over and they complimented my food, which was great. But like, they are so sweet, and I know that, and they're gentlemen. They're not just sweet and like innocent. They are gentlemen, and they are going to take care of the woman that they end up with. And
don't make me cry. I love my boys.
No, they're amazing. I bragged to Justin about it. I was like, those are some of the most respectful men that I've ever, that at that age that I've ever encountered. Boys. They're so good. And that is based off of how you've raised them. And they're going to go to you and tell you what you're worth because they care about you. And you don't want them to have to do that.
Yeah.
You just want them to know that their mom is well taken care of, because you don't want that to be a burden on your sons, or you don't want your daughter to think that she can be treated a certain way just because it's a man. You know what I mean? You want the type of man you built into those boys. That's what you want for your daughter too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with all of that being said, we can just kind of touch on the things that you can do, because we talked about self-love and how when you have that respect and love for yourself, it does raise your standards, and you do, change your perspective on what you'll allow in your life as far as any kind of relationship. So what do you think are some important steps to take where you kind of build that self-respect, self-love? We kind of we've talked about self-care, but this is like on a different level.
It's almost growth, right? It's like self-growth. And I've always been very like a forward-minded person, right? Like I always look at the next thing I want to do, the next goal I want to accomplish, no matter how big or how small or whatever it may be. And that focus has always led me in this weird path, because I've always been surrounded by people that maybe just don't think that way, especially growing up where we did, and kind of makes you the black sheep, right? Like little different. You have goals that people just don't see you accomplishing. I mean, there's things I would have never done or tried half of the things, not even half, probably 90% of the things that I have, if I would have never left Iowa. Yeah. I wouldn't have. And leaving was the first step for me. And I will say the biggest thing you need is you need goals. You need things that you're working towards, and they have to be this so far stretch that you're working towards something, not just I need to start working out. Yeah, that's not a goal. It has to be specific goals with a stretch that you are working towards, and then maybe some minor goals, so you feel like you're accomplishing something along the way. But I do think you have to strive for big, and if you don't, you're not really gonna feel that growth. And then reading books, that is huge. There are so many books that I've read that have just helped me develop into the person I am and show me growth, to the point where I really don't know what to read anymore. Yeah. But there are so many books, and if you're reading and you're learning and you're growing, we go to school, right? And we're learning, but we don't really take it seriously, especially like high school. We don't really take it seriously. Then we go to college, because now we have a career to work towards. Some take it serious, some people don't. Yeah. And then after that, where does the learning come from? Maybe your career, or if you have some continuing ed, but the stuff that's kind of forced, right? But where are we finding growth in the things that we're interested in, things that we want to do but maybe haven't learned about yet? There's so many resources that we have now. It doesn't even have to be books. You hate reading books, listen to an audiobook, listen to podcasts. Ours isn't educational. It's not. Ours is just, this is fun.
We are talking.
This is just real life, in the real life chaos. But there are some very good educational podcasts out there that will help you learn and grow into something that you want to be. And we have YouTube. You have endless online courses now. I mean,
YouTube University.
Yeah. And granted, there's a lot of false information and you have to do your own research. But if you
Mm-hmm.
really want to learn something, you can.
Yeah.
And there's things like editing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I just taught myself how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different things that I've tried
Mm-hmm.
and done. I mean, you just do it and you continue to learn.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge. And if you don't hold yourself accountable and make those goals and then hit those goals, or at least some type of goal, or work towards something, what are you doing? You're just staying in the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when you stay in the same place, you get comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why a lot of people end up gaining weight and things like that and getting uncomfortable, is they got comfortable. Yeah. You get in a relationship, you're comfortable. You're no longer working to go find somebody, you know, and you get comfortable. And then what do we do when we get comfortable? We just stop doing things. And if you're not, again, I'm wired very differently, I know, but my brain just kind of constantly goes. But like, I do think if you're not going to work towards something, you're just going to be complacent and unhappy. And unfortunately, comfort doesn't bring happiness. It brings calm, I guess. It brings,
and
relaxed,
comfortable isn't even always calm. Comfortable just means it's something that you're used to. That doesn't mean it's a good thing.
Yeah. So I like don't really even know how to say comfortable is a good thing, because I don't think it is. I love just jumping in. I have no idea. I will tell you right now, I have no idea what we're doing. No idea. Okay? No idea.
Kind of look like we do a little bit, but we
have no idea.
We're winging it.
Yeah, and we're just trying it out. And I really, really, I got into this because I really thought we could help people. And I want to bring light to people's stories like we're going to have with Amber. And I do find purpose in this, and I do think this can be very helpful. But I have no freaking clue what I'm doing. And I'm just doing it. But we learn
as we go.
Yeah. Or like our social media videos. They keep getting better. Why? Because we're doing the reps and we're continuously growing. Yeah. I've built multiple websites. You guys think I have a clue what I was doing when I started doing that? Like, no, I didn't. I just did it, and then you learn as you go. I've done that with so many things. I'm in an accounting job, no accounting background. And I'm growing. I've been there a year, and I love it. I'm actually going to go back to school. I'm going to get my master's, and then I'm going to get my CPA. Like, that's the goals, based off of trying something and getting into something that I had zero knowledge of. It was uncomfortable, and it was not easy, but you just do it.
I was going to say that about you talking about comfortable and me saying comfort isn't always a good thing. I think some of the biggest transformative moments of our life come from the uncomfortable times, not the comfortable times. Oh, no. Being uncomfortable is what pushes us to do things, to improve our situations, become greater. And I'm going to take a little bit of a different direction than you, because you were saying not just like, I'm going to go to the gym and work out. I can say coming out of a relationship, some days it was challenges to just want to get out of bed. So I think in situations like that, especially like if you are feeling depressed, or there's some like mental health stuff going on, or you're just struggling, giving up a part of your life that's been so important, sometimes setting those small goals and fulfilling those leads to the bigger ones, where it's like, okay, I want to start going to the gym. Maybe you walk in there and you don't have a clue what you're going to do. You just get on the stair stepper, you're going to the bike and riding it for 15 minutes. But starting off that way, then once you get in there and you start doing it and you start feeling a little better, then it's like, okay, but now I want to like do weights, and now I want to focus on different body groups. So it's like sometimes you need those smaller steps to build to the bigger goals. For me, like just something as simple as like cleaning your room, organizing your closet, like getting rid of, I know it's like symbolic almost.
I feel like you're talking more about habits, right? You're building habits to better yourself.
Yeah, initially in that time where you're going through a change in your life of giving up relationships, it's like there is a lot of symbolism in like cleaning your room out and your clothes, because it's like I'm getting rid of the stuff that I don't wear anymore, that I don't that
Yeah.
I don't need to have here anymore. And then from there, you either continue building and growing and getting bigger goals and better habits, or we get complacent again.
And I think the biggest thing is just try not to ever be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds absolutely terrible. Like, it's okay to get comfy on the couch,
Get comfortable in your bed at night when you lay down.
Exactly, but when we ain't resting.
It's the same in the business world. Like when you get comfortable and you're like, okay, well, I've got this many clients booked or whatever, you get kind of comfortable and you're not pushing out your content and stuff. Well, you may not see it initially, but like the next week, you might not have as many clients, or the next month, you might not have as many clients because you were just comfortable in that area that you were in. So it's like, we have to keep striving to do better and be better. I think that sometimes relationships come in and complicate that.
Yes.
And that gets a lot of your focus and time and attention. But in 2025 and trying to start the new year out right, that's where I want my mindset to be, is I don't want to be comfortable. God, don't take that too far. Please, God, listen to what I'm saying. I don't want to be so comfortable that I'm not pushing to be better and I'm not doing better.
And then she's got me because I'm straight crazy. Mm-hmm. I'm already pushing goals on her that I don't even think she knew she had.
I'm like, what?
I'm like, oh, so we're going to do this. Please send me this.
What? Hold up.
So I'm going to be your little pusher.
You are. Push me. Get you a friend like that. That's the kind of relationships you want to have, where you have somebody that's pushing you to be better. They see the potential in you, and it's like, I'm not going to let you just settle for being where you are and like what you are right now. I can see greater in you.
Yeah.
I'm pushing you. You're doing your fitness competition. I'm like, I can't wait. Like, I can't wait to be there encouraging you. I'm going to be cheering you on. Like, that's my friend. Like, I want to see you do better things. I want to see the people that I love and care about do greater things. I want to see strangers do greater things.
I want to see most people succeed.
Yes.
And I say most because most people aren't really working towards anything.
Yeah.
But like, if you are, I want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a friend, if you're a foe, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. Like, I just want to see people succeed, and I just want to see people not hurt people along the way.
Yeah.
That's the two things.
And that's another thing I'd like to say, is you saying the foe, like, just because a relationship ends, whether it's a friendship, romantic, family, that doesn't mean that you have to like have hate towards that person. There are a lot of times where you have to end a relationship where you still love that person deeply, but you know that it's the best move for your life. Like, just because somebody isn't a part of your life anymore doesn't mean you have to wish ill on them.
No.
You just know that their time and their purpose for your life has come to pass. Like,
it's almost like you have to come to a mental clarity about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to really realize it internally in order to act on it.
Yeah.
I hate to say, like, I'm very emotionless when it comes to this now, but I wasn't before. Yeah. I was like the opposite of you. You used to cut people off, and then you got into the emotion. I was the emotion. Mm-hmm. I had been like that my whole life. I cared more about what other people thought. I put everyone before me. I would worry more about how someone feels than how I feel. Mm-hmm. I would just take the hit. People would borrow money from me, never pay me back, and I would just, well, it is what it is. I'm never going to see it anyways. Like, and then they would borrow it again. Like, that was the like craziness I would put myself in. Honestly, Justin is a lot of the reason I found some self-worth, because he's just like, you deserve better than that. Yeah. And he kind of like would give me that push, which now that's what I do to people, is give them that push to get away from bad situations, bad relationships, whatever it may be. And so I've been walked on like the rug out front, you know what I mean? Like, so many times. And so to the point of, I just don't really have an emotion. Like, to me, it's almost like a business transaction now. Like, if you don't belong and I don't belong with you, there's no point. Or if you don't like me and I don't like you, or vice versa, or whatever, like, it's okay. It's fine. It doesn't mean I hate you. I just don't care to have you in my life. And I think a a lot of people will try to make relationships work just because they don't want to deal with the hard part of letting it go. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, the people that you want to disconnect from you just as bad. Mm-hmm. They won't say it. Yeah. But it's true if a relationship doesn't work. Now, granted, a narcissist is a whole another ball game. Mm-hmm. That we got to watch out for that. Mm-hmm. That's not good. Yeah. If people are bringing you up, bringing you down, mm-hmm. making you feel guilty, that you cut off as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. That you have to watch for, because you'll get taken advantage of no matter where you're at in your life. I can still get that happen to me, just because the way they go about it is so it's insane. Yeah. And so that I do say it's usually mutual, but mm-hmm. someone like that's really bad for you, that continuously keeps trying to pull you back. Really think about that. Mm-hmm. Really think of their real intentions, the way they make you feel, and do you really want to keep playing that cycle? Mm-hmm. How many times have you played that cycle?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times, exactly what you said, you won't want to end it or let it go because it's like, oh, I'm going to be sad. It's going to be hard. But like, are you sad in the relationship? Is the relationship hard? Like, and how long are you letting that continue? Whereas the healing process and letting go of a relationship, that's not an overnight process. You're not just going to forget about somebody who, if you're struggling to let somebody go, they hold enough importance in your life that it's not going to be an easy process to just let them go. But there's our line. It is a lot easier in the long run to let somebody go that is not beneficial for your life than to stay in that relationship and remain
unhappy. And always remember, it's two-sided, right? Mm-hmm. If it's draining you, and either it's draining the other person too because you just don't work, mm-hmm. or the other person's, if it's not equal, mm-hmm. most likely the other person's benefiting more in that mm-hmm. relationship, and there's a reason for that. Mm-hmm.
This was a lot. This is a lot about relationships. And
I could probably talk.
Oh, I could talk forever about this.
Unfortunately, we don't want to bring up specific topics or people.
Because we've both had romantic, friendship, family situations. I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing to remember is you have to live with yourself every single day, your happiness or your sadness. And as hard as it is to eliminate certain people or things from your life, if it's going to benefit you in the long run, as hard as it is, you have to do it. And get you a support system. Get people around you that are going to support you, and find the things, whether it's starting off small or setting big goals, that are going to help you to love yourself again and not need the love and validation as much from outside external sources as much as right in here, right? Yeah. I love me. I just have to love me a little more.
You have to love yourself enough to not tolerate bad things. Mm-hmm. Bad situations, bad relationships, bad food, mm-hmm. Bad habits. Yes. So you have to love yourself enough not to tolerate anything negative. Yeah. Like, you obviously can't, a bad situation that is out of your control, it's out of your control. That's another, before we jump, one big thing for me is the best thing you can do is always focus on what you can focus on. Yeah. And if there's something that's focus on what's in your control. And if it's not in your control, don't focus on it, because there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. The truth. It's not in your control, let it go.
I can tell you right now that's a big part of happiness for me. It's just only focusing on the things that are in my control. Yeah. If I can't do anything about it right now, I'm going to focus on the things that I can do right now. Yep. So, all right, guys,
that was some of our thoughts on relationships.
So, think of yourself and prioritize the right relationships. And it's okay to let go of the ones that aren't necessary anymore.
Even if it's hard. All right, we'll see you guys next time.